I'm at an age when food that used to be so good are now considered evil. Bawal ang crispy pata, baka tumaas ang presyon. A little too much of double chocolate cake with cream frosting would probably take me to the edge of diabetes. But they're just so good, you know. I often feel helpless and weak before the relentless temptation of such delectable fares. Unfortunately, these sinful foods are not the only ones tempting us. We live in a very evil world. We are in a society that appeals strongly to greed and lust and hate. Ours is a society where injustice is institutionalized and where pride is celebrated and where stealing and lying are handsomely rewarded. We live every day of our lives so close to sin. The temptation to commit sin practically never leaves us. They're all around us. It's in the air we breathe. And I guess that's why Jesus taught his disciples this very important prayer. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Evil is whatever draws us away from an intimate relationship with God. And the thing that the evil one, or evil personified, is committed to do is to break our close relationship with God. Now, the word used for temptation can also mean a trial or a test. Temptations and trials are two different things. Being under a test or a trial does not mean you're being tempted, but they are very closely related. One can be so tested, the trials can be so severe that it can bring you to the edge of temptation. A severe financial trial can push someone to the edge and be tempted to steal. A serious testing of one's temper can push one to the edge and be blind with rage and harm someone. Interestingly, what Jesus taught his disciples to do is not to pray to remove temptations. Temptations will always be present in our lives. There will always be influences that will draw us to do things that God hates or the things that violate God's laws. We cannot avoid encountering them in a world stained by sin. But while God may allow us to undergo trials and testing to strengthen our faith, one thing's for sure, God will never tempt us to commit sin. So part of what Jesus taught his disciples is the prayer for God to not lead them to a trial or a test. Lead them not to situations where their faith will be tested severely, that they may fail. Jesus knows how weak we are, how susceptible we are to falling into the lure of evil. The danger is always there, just like a predatory animal that lurks unseen, looking for the perfect opportunity to pounce and attack. So what we ought to pray for is for us to be rescued whenever the temptation to commit evil ever comes. We need the power of God's Spirit to help us, to enable us to be strong against temptations, and to be wise in the face of the deceptive allure of the evil one. So whenever you're feeling weak and particularly vulnerable, or when severe trials come that you're pushed to the edge of temptation, pray to God that He delivers you from evil. And as He leads you from being severely tested and keeps you from being pushed to the edge of temptation, faith matters too.